What if I told you that one of the most iconic cartoon characters of all time, a symbol of strength, resilience, and unwavering determination, was inspired by a real person, a man who lived, fought, and earned his legend not through animation but through sheer grit and raw power? Meet Frank "Rocky" Fiegel, the real-life sailor and boxer whose tough-as-nails persona gave birth to Popeye. Unlike the spinach-fueled hero we know, Rocky's strength wasn't just physical. It was the result of a hard life, an unbreakable will, and a spirit that refused to back down. Yet, his name is rarely mentioned in history books. How did a rough-and-tumble fighter from a small American town become the blueprint for an immortal pop culture icon? And what lessons can we learn from his life? Lessons about resilience, self-belief, and overcoming impossible odds. This is the untold story of the real Popeye. A tale of fists, perseverance, and the kind of strength that doesn't come from a can of spinach, but from the depths of the human spirit. To understand the legend of Popeye, we first need to meet the man behind the myth, Frank "Rocky" Fiegel. Born in 1868 in Chester, Illinois, Rocky was no ordinary man. A lifelong sailor and barroom brawler, he was known throughout his small town for his incredible strength, quick fists, and a signature pipe that rarely left his mouth. Sound familiar? Rocky was a local tough guy, but not in the way you might think. He wasn't a bully, he was a protector. Despite his gruff exterior, he was respected in the community for standing up for the weak and defending those who couldn't fight for themselves. He had a weathered face, a wiry frame packed with surprising power, and a jaw that could take a punch and still crack a grin. It was in Chester that a young cartoonist, Elzie Chrysler Segar, grew up hearing stories about Rocky's legendary toughness. Inspired by the real-life sailor, Segar later created the beloved character Popeye in 1929 for his comic strip Thimble Theater. The resemblance was uncanny, the squinty eye, the pipe clenched between his teeth, and that famous underdog spirit. But Rocky's story wasn't just about brute strength, it was about survival. He lived in an era when life was unforgiving, where a man's worth was measured by his resilience. In the tough streets and back alleys of Chester, he learned how to endure, how to fight, and most importantly, how to never back down. Yet, while Popeye became a household name, Rocky himself faded into history, his contributions largely forgotten. But today we bring his story back to life, not as a mere footnote, but as a testament to the kind of determination that turns ordinary men into legends. Frank "Rocky" Fiegel wasn't born a hero. He became one through hardship, sheer will, and an ironclad spirit that refused to break. His early years were spent in Chester, Illinois, a small river town where life was anything but easy. The streets were rough, work was hard, and only the toughest survived. From a young age, Rocky learned that strength wasn't just a choice, it was a necessity. He took on grueling labor jobs, developing the kind of raw power that couldn't be taught in a gym. His reputation as a fighter wasn't built in a ring, but in the real world, where a man had to defend himself or be swallowed by the brutality of his surroundings. He became a barroom legend, known for single-handedly taking on men twice his size. The stories surrounding him bordered on myth. Locals whispered about how he could knock a man out with a single punch, or take a beating and still walk away unfazed. But it wasn't just his fists that made him legendary. It was his attitude. He never ran from a fight, never backed down, and always stood up for those who couldn't fight for themselves. Despite his rough edges, Rocky had a heart of gold. He was known to help struggling families, look after children in the neighborhood, and lend a hand whenever needed. He embodied the very essence of Popeye, not just as a fighter, but as a symbol of resilience, loyalty, and unwavering strength. Elzie Chrysler Segar, who grew up in Chester, watched Rocky from a distance. The way he carried himself, the way he fought, the way he always had his signature pipe clenched between his teeth. It all became the foundation for Popeye, a character who would go on to inspire millions. But Rocky's life wasn't a fairy tale. He faced struggle after struggle, fighting not just with his fists, but against poverty, hardship, and the relentless march of time. And yet, he never wavered. His story, like Popeye's, was about more than just brute force. It was about perseverance, courage, and the kind of strength that no opponent could ever truly defeat. As the years passed, Rocky Fiegel's legend only grew stronger in his hometown. Despite his rough-and-tumble lifestyle, he remained a fixture in Chester, always ready to share a story, lend a helping hand, or, if necessary, teach an unruly troublemaker a lesson in humility. One of the most enduring aspects of Rocky's character was his resilience. He wasn't just physically tough. He had the kind of mental fortitude that set him apart. Life had thrown countless hardships his way, financial struggles, personal losses, and the brutal realities of working-class existence. But he never let them break him. Much like Popeye, Rocky believed in standing his ground, no matter how overwhelming the odds. Yet, unlike his fictional counterpart, there was no magical can of spinach to boost his strength. His power came from years of experience, relentless determination, and an unshakable belief in himself. That's the real lesson hidden in his story. True strength isn't about external crutches or shortcuts. It's built through persistence, hardship, and an unyielding spirit. Meanwhile, as Popeye skyrocketed in popularity, Rocky remained largely unknown to the world. He never sought recognition for inspiring one of the most famous cartoon characters of all time. He wasn't concerned with fame. He was simply living his life the only way he knew how. It wasn't until later, long after Popeye had cemented himself in pop culture, that Rocky's connection to the character was more widely acknowledged. Today, his grave in Chester is marked with an engraving of Popeye, a silent nod to the real-life man behind the legend. But Rocky's legacy isn't just carved in stone. It lives on in the values Popeye represents: courage, resilience, and the determination to keep pushing forward, no matter what. His story teaches us that heroes aren't always the ones in the spotlight. Sometimes they're the ones fighting battles in the background, leaving behind a legacy that inspires generations. Rocky Fiegel's story isn't just about strength. It's about resilience, character, and the power of persistence. While most of us won't find ourselves in barroom brawls or facing off against towering opponents, his life teaches lessons that apply to any challenge we face. 1. Strength comes from struggle. Rocky didn't wake up one day with unshakable toughness. He built it through years of hardship, fights, and setbacks. The same applies to any skill or goal in life, whether it's mastering a craft, building a career, or overcoming personal obstacles. Resilience is earned, not given. Every challenge you face is shaping you into someone stronger. 2. Stand your ground. One of Rocky's defining traits was his refusal to back down, especially when standing up for others. In today's world, this lesson translates to having the courage to defend your beliefs, speak up against injustice, and remain true to yourself, even when it's difficult. 3. You don't need a spinach shortcut. In the cartoons, Popeye's strength comes from a can of spinach. But Rocky? His power came from discipline, experience, and a refusal to quit. We often look for shortcuts, quick fixes, motivation boosts. But the truth is, real success comes from consistent effort, not external crutches. 4. Toughness is more than physical. Rocky was strong, but his greatest strength wasn't just in his fists. It was in his ability to endure. Mental and emotional resilience matter just as much, if not more, than physical toughness. The ability to push forward after failure, to adapt, and to never let circumstances define you is what truly sets strong individuals apart. 5. Leave a legacy. even if you stay unsung. Rocky never sought fame, yet his influence created an immortal character. Many of us want recognition for our work, but the most meaningful impact often happens quietly. Helping others, staying true to your principles, and living with integrity will leave a legacy, whether the world recognizes it or not. His life is proof that true strength isn't just about muscles, it's about character, perseverance, and the determination to keep fighting, no matter what life throws your way. Frank "Rocky" Fiegel may not have lived to see his legacy fully recognized, but his influence endures in ways he could never have imagined. Popeye became more than just a cartoon. He became a symbol of resilience, standing up for what's right and pushing forward no matter the odds. And behind that symbol was a real man, forged in hardship, defined by perseverance, and remembered for his unbreakable spirit. Rocky's story reminds us that strength isn't just about muscles or brute force. It's about standing tall when life tries to knock you down. It's about fighting battles that matter, even if no one is watching. And most importantly, it's about believing in yourself, even when the world doubts you. So, the next time you find yourself facing an uphill battle, think of Rocky, think of the real Popeye, and ask yourself, what's your spinach? What's the inner strength that keeps you moving forward? Because in the end, it's not about how hard you can hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep going. That's the true mark of a fighter. That's the legacy of Rocky Fiegel. If this story inspired you, leave a comment below. What's one lesson from Rocky's life that resonates with you? And don't forget to subscribe for more untold stories of resilience and greatness.